Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Glenn Galton, Director of the Center for Global Health at Penn Medicine. Sadly calling you from a phone, so apologies for the bouncy picture. It's just an enormous pleasure to welcome you today to the inaugural Robert Suskind and Leslie Lewinter-Suskind Faculty Prize in Global Health, and to celebrate the incredible accomplishments through this award, not just of course, Bob and Leslie, but of our inaugural recipient, Dr. Kassa Darge from Children's Hospital. So I'm going to begin with just, since this is the inaugural award, with saying just a couple of things about Leslie and Bob. Bob, a graduate of both Penn undergraduate and Penn Medicine, and Leslie, a Penn State, sadly, alumnus, but also from Bryn Mawr. And they met when Bob was third year in medical school and married shortly thereafter. Bob went on to Pediatrics specialty, and through their incredible career together, and I mean it because they really are a true couple in every sense of the word, both professionally and personally. They've been to really and worked in every continent in the world, except for, as they have reminded me, Antarctica. And I think as we speak now, they're in Iceland. So Bob and Leslie have an incredible career, not just here in the United States, where Bob has been chair of pediatrics for over 20 years, much of it at LSU, but then also dean of 4 separate medical schools, 3 of which he launched really from the ground up. Just phenomenal. And it's this lifelong dedication to medical education and care that characterized their career, not just here in the States, but around the world. And they began early on as a couple in the Peace Corps in Senegal, and then an enormous amount of time in a variety of locations in Southeast Asia, and most recently, actually in Nepal. But the work in Southeast Asia, I think, really highlights their commitment to pediatric health, and in particular, their specialty domain of nutrition and its relationship with the immune system. So Bob and Leslie, thank you so much for establishing and endowing not just the faculty prize, but also the student prize, which we launched, I think, 3 years ago now. I'm going to turn it over to you for just a couple of quick comments, and then I'm going to introduce today's speaker and award recipient, Dr. Darge. Bob and Leslie.
Thank you, Glenn.
Glenn, thank you so much for those very kind words. You've taken all the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to go the same history that you had. But it's hard to believe that almost 59 years ago, I was a graduate of Penn Medical School. But more importantly than that is the fact that my career in global health was started as a result of an award from Penn to go to Cameroon. And that was the thing that changed my life, because as a result of it, I was able to recruit my wonderful wife, Leslie, to be my partner to continue our work in global health. So one of the things I say to students, it's very important to whom you choose as to where you're going to be going. The career has been a very exciting one, taking us to Africa as Peace Corps physicians, and Leslie working directly with me in global health, going to Chiang Mai, Thailand, where I was the field director of a NIH unit in malnutrition. Working with Leslie, we have been truly partners in global health. Coming back to the States, being, as you mentioned, a chair of pediatrics and being a founding dean of 3 medical schools. But even though I'm going to be 84 this year, I haven't retired because there's going to be at least one more medical school that we have to start in transforming medical education. And with that, I will turn it over to the person who has, as a partnership, allowed us to develop a career in global health. My wonderful partner, Leslie.
I would like to hear Dr. Darge speaking first, and then may I make a comment after? Is that legitimate?
And I want to congratulate Dr. Darge on the award.
I want to congratulate him on his life. And so there. So can you speak first, and then I have a couple words.
Yeah,
afterwards.
Leslie, you're welcome to make comments. We'll have a healthy questioning period at the end, so you can certainly make comments then.
Thank you. Am I to speak later or now?
You can say something now.
No, you can wait. That's fine.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait.
Okay.
I'd like to hear Dr. Darge. Thank you.
Well, thank you both very much. And again, thanks for your incredible citizenship and your global commitment. So now it's just an enormous pleasure to introduce today's speaker and the inaugural recipient of the Suskind Faculty Award in Global Health, Dr. Kassa Darge. And Kassa, what can we say? Over a 30-year career of engagement in global work. But of course, Kassa is known to most of us as the radiologist in chief, chair of the Department of Radiology at, of course, one of the great, if not the greatest children's hospital in the world, CHOP. He's also the Van Allen Endowed Professor of Radiology and Pediatrics, and at the Perelman School of Medicine, of course. And I think important for today, he's an honorary professor at the Addis Ababa University School of Medicine, where he has worked to help build residency, continuing medical education programs, but mostly, and I think this really speaks to Kassa's commitment of developing the careers of individuals throughout the world and developing them as leaders in medicine and in global health. And he, of course, has done much of this work in his country of origin, Ethiopia, but other countries throughout Africa, and most recently, Eastern Europe, and I know new projects in Argentina. So Kassa, welcome. Thank you so much, and congratulations. We look forward to hearing your talk.
Glenn, thank you so much for the kind introduction. This is appreciated. I want to say also welcome to Bob and Leslie, and I'll start sharing my slides. And I'm very extremely humbled and grateful for this award regarding something that really I've spent most of my career with, and something that means a lot to me. But I want to accept this award not only for myself, but on behalf of my CHOP Global Radiology team, and as well as our international partners in Ethiopia, with whom we have established a fellowship program, and also other countries like in Argentina and other parts of the world. So thank you so much for this honor, and it was really indeed a great pleasure for me to have a long virtual meeting with Leslie and Robert Suskind, who are at the time in Iceland, and for them for sharing a lot about their global outreach activities. I'm just impressed how much in a lifetime someone can achieve, and they exemplify really extraordinary achievements. I mean, when we were talking, I was quite overwhelmed and couldn't, but then I went to read all the publications and the CV of Bob, and realized, I mean, what he was telling me was really happening one after the other in his life. And their impact in global health was so impressive. I found these textbooks from about almost 4 decades ago, the textbook of pediatric nutrition and the malnourished child, books they had written. These were standard textbooks, and that was really impressive. And as he mentioned, they started off in Cameroon, but they spent a Peace Corps in Senegal and West Africa, and have had many experiences around the world that is still continuing. And I felt really honored that they were kind enough to share all those with me. So in light of this inaugural award and work, I want to just focus on global health outreach and education activity that pertains to pediatrics and radiology, and give you as a highlight, as the example, the CHOP program in Ethiopia. So in this presentation, I want to highlight 4 points. One is I want to lay out the core values of mission that are very important for me and have led me in all this work, but also I think important for others going into this mission, and it can be also extrapolated for people outside the pediatric radiology. I want to demonstrate also why the need for pediatrics, why a pediatric priority, what the goals of our outreach was, and I will finally close sharing with you some of the activities of the outreach. So let me start some of the core values, and there are 4 core values of such an outreach mission and education. I think one of the top ones is sustainability. And I think this is a very important one because we don't want our undertakings to be a hit and run action. We want it to be in some form or another sustainable. We may not go on the first day knowing it will be sustainable for a long time, but at least we have to be going with an open mind to make such actions somehow a sustainable one that will be beneficial to all parties involved. The best example I can give you for sustainability is Coca-Cola. This is an American creation that has been longer than my age. It was even in Ethiopia longer, and that has survived through different governments from monarchy to communism and further on, and even changed and reached the level of Coca-Cola Light. This is now the new version in Amharic, and so it has sustained itself even in the most challenging situations over decades and decades. And it's amazing to know that it's an American product produced here, but being sustained for such a long time, even in such countries. So in order to facilitate the sustainability is a collaboration we established with the Addis Ababa University Department of Radiology, where there is a bilateral strong interest and support, and I want to underline the word bilateral. And there is also the clear and attainable goals, you know, what they want, what we want. And very important is the fact that there's relatively strong infrastructure of the recipient. This may not be done everywhere where you go, so you have to modify it to the ground conditions. And then very important is the self-funding of the donor or the volunteers. This is not one where you would need to sustain it continuous funding from externally on going forward, but there is some degree of self-funding. And then mutual understanding, respect is the basis for a sustainable relationship over a long time. The second one is self-sufficiency. So when we go in, it's very important. It's not about sustaining our presence in such places, but to encourage self-sufficiency, to train and empower independence. Yeah, at one point we want the people to be independent, and then we want to continue with our partnership, but we don't need to be the leaders. We can be advisors, we can be consultants, but in a different category. So really, the saying, give a man a fish and feed him for a day, but teach him to fish and feed him for a lifetime, really applies in terms of self-sufficiency. Let me give you one example that we had is regarding the intussusception, which is a bowel obstruction, usually in children less than 2 years old. And here we manage it with image-guided rectal enema and reduce the intussusception, which is mostly over 90% successful, and only 10% go to surgery. This was not the case at the biggest referral hospital in Ethiopia, the Black Lion Hospital, before 2014. Before 2014, there was no image-guided reduction for intussusception. All children went to surgery, all children. Then we had education about different possibilities of how to reduce it. And the department took the challenge to look into the use of ultrasound in the reduction of intussusception, tried it for a year and implemented it. So after 2014, ultrasound-guided reduction was introduced. The rate of surgery fell to 23%. That means a 77% reduction in surgery. This did not require a huge donation of machines or a huge grant to build something, but really teaching and showing how to use existing machines to make an impactful difference. The third core value is the win-win relationship. So it is very important for us to understand when we have the international outreach that we are not just going as masters giving benevolently something to others, but really as partners, and make sure that this win-win relation, showing that we are going to gain and you are going to gain something, assures sustainability, guarantees interest, and maintains equality in the relationship. So for the recipient, the result of the undertaking is the win part for the recipient. For the donors, for us, there are many wins that we have to remember in doing international outreach. The experience in the international academic arena as visiting professors, as invited lecturers, research mentor, board examiner. All these are important experiences that may advance our academic career. And certainly at Penn, this is the case because all these can go into the evaluation for promotion in the academic career. We can have research collaboration opportunities. There will be widening of networking possibilities. There is exposure to new diseases and disease manifestations, and also the experience in working in low resource setting. And beside that, there is also the opportunity of exploring of a new country and a new culture. And the last one is something we might not always be conscious about, but I think for a smooth working, we coming from the Western world or developed world need to acknowledge that there can be, there are many discordant developments. For someone going to one of the developing countries for the very first time, one of the most striking things is that you see on one side some very developed areas in any field, and on the other side, very backward things, and both existing together. And this is just an example like this of a shanty area existing, but in the same time, you have in the country a 3 Tesla MR scanner in a remote hospital. This is in the northern part of Ethiopia. The most expensive, the highest a magnet MR scanner that requires the replacement with much needed continuously. So very expensive one. But here, so this is because these medical developments are not only decided by the country, by the donors, by special interest groups. So it cannot match with the rest of the development of the country. So it's very important to make one's work easy, to acknowledge and still work effectively in light of discordant development. Then I want to jump over to why pediatrics, why we want to stress that. One of the reasons is the demographics, you know. Look at this graph representation. This is the Ethiopian map, age distribution. This is the American age distribution. In Ethiopia, this is the latest from 2018, 40% of the population, 40% are below 14 years old, 40%, imagine. And in the US, it's only 19%. Yeah, so this is a big discrepancy. It's almost twice the young pediatric age group are present in Ethiopia. In addition to that, 60% of the population is below 24 years old, 60%, very young. Even in the biggest referral hospital, like this would be the equivalent there in Ethiopia, like the Penn system, where you have adult and pediatrics, half of the patients in the main referral hospital of the country are children. So the consequences is that the children are a major patient population, even for diagnostic imaging. And the majority of radiologists in the country are confronted with pediatric images. So this is a very important realization. Secondly, when we started the program, there was lack of subspecialty. There was not a single pediatric radiologist for a population of almost 110 million. And there was, in addition, lack of emphasis of the much needed pediatric imaging enhancement in the radiology residency program. And lastly, there was inadequate diagnostic imaging support for the pediatric services. Especially, there was no diagnostic match for now upcoming new pediatric subspecialties, like pediatric surgery was being established, pediatric oncology, neonatology, but there were no pediatric radiology counterparts. So we set out with the goal to support and expand the pediatric radiology part in the radiology residency program. And we also, on the push from the local faculty, we agreed to conduct an accredited local pediatric radiology fellowship. In addition to that, we had arranged to carry out a regular national pediatric radiology continuing medical education. So our partner in this undertaking, the local partner was the Department of Radiology at the Gorambessa or Black Line Hospital, which is part of the College of Health Sciences of the Addis Ababa University in the capital, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This is the largest and main referral hospital, and it's also the teaching hospital with a residency and fellowship programs. And it had the first and longest running radiology residency program with multiple international collaborations. Our other partner was the Radiological Society of Ethiopia, also encompassing all the radiologists in the country. So how did we fund this? So as part of this international outreach activities, it was our pediatric radiologists, our faculty, who took their CME times and CME travel expenses to be a faculty member at these undertaking and rotating to travel and teach there. In addition, one of our colleagues, Dr. Surush Mabubi, had really established a brilliant idea and established from funds he was getting from research, the International Medical Fund for Higher Education, that would allow to support observers from such places to come and stay with us for observership. And then we had also the support of the CHOP Global Health Center. In addition, we had partners outside CHOP who came through self-financing or through the support of RadAid. And at different times, the Addis Ababa University was also involved in supporting some of the activities. And the Radiological Society of Ethiopia also got support from the Ethiopian Medical Association to conduct some of the CME activities. So the Department of Radiology at the Black Lion Hospital in Addis Ababa has a 3-year residency program and 2-year fellowships and collaborations with the University of Toronto, Emory University, and CHOP and UPenn. And they have fellowships in body imaging, cardiothoracic, MSK, neuro, and pediatric. And we conducted the pediatric one. So there are in the department around 20-25 attending or consultants who the first fellows were selected from the consultants pool. Currently, they have about 60 residents, and they have all these equipments that are listed here. These are just some of the images from the Black Lion Hospital. This is the radiology building. It houses 1 MRI and one CT, and these are the different parts of the department at the Black Lion Hospital. What we had was rotating international visiting professors who stayed for a week or two, and so when multiple people rotated, they would cover a number of weeks within the year. So the first emphasis was to support the residency program in terms of providing lectures, case-based review, reading at the viewing stations, and also hands-on ultrasound or interventional teaching was part of the program. So when we went there, this is just an example of a week's program. Everyone was assigned to different activities and to different lectures, and we worked together with our colleagues within the department, and we're involved teaching the residents at different stations here, be it ultrasound, be it X-ray, and reading together, especially the pediatric cases. In addition, we gave formal lectures of all the residents and fellows. We conducted that on a regular basis. So after the residency support was started, the faculty came with the suggestion that they would like to have a pediatric radiology fellowship. This was really motivated by the fact that they had the push from pediatric subspecialties that were being established in the Black Lion Hospital, including pediatric surgery. So the idea with the fellowship was to do a focused training with defined goals, with a set time frame, with a clear curriculum. And very importantly, we just didn't want to do something from outside, doing it just with partnership with the Black Lion Hospital. But we looked for having it really grounded and being officially established in the university. So we went through the approval process to have the program accredited by the Addis Ababa University. So the fellows would graduate from the university with their diplomas after the completion of the fellowship programs. And we wanted to be on the job training and particularly focus on the teachers so that they can be teaching others, and wanted also to be supported by an international faculty, and at the end to be certified. So we went through the exercise of preparing a detailed curriculum that was approved by the university. This was an act together with faculty members from the department, the Black Lion Hospital, and CHOP colleagues. We created a 2-year program which incorporated clinical and research. We established a dedicated pediatric service with the help of the department, selected 2 faculty members, Drs. Daniel and Yokabel, as the first inaugural fellows for this program, and started in 2015. The training format was included in-person, hands-on, and distance learning and external observerships, and was based on the curriculum. So we provided the distance learning through recorded lectures or online lectures, cases that were sent, and books and articles that were shared, and all this it was put into a logbook by each of the fellows, and this was followed up. Furthermore, the research was encouraged. The second year was meant also to give time for research. So the important thing is that it should be pediatric radiology focused clinical research that targets local issues. We connected with external mentors or external collaborators. And this also writing and research is part of the promotion requirements for the university also. It's not, it is goes way beyond the fellowship impact. So we had a 2-year program, and 2 candidates, the first ones were able to graduate with this under this program. Both of them were here at CHOP for 3 months observerships, and they did also their research projects. And in February 2017, we were able to provide them with a certificate of completion and also celebrate at one of our CME events their graduation from the program. And then they went on to go to the university a few months later to receive officially their diplomas, thanks to the accredited program, which makes them also officially recognized by the Ministry of Health, which has really a personal and departmental impact. So post-graduation, there was an establishment of the section of pediatric radiology with the section head, and they started offering pediatric radiology fellowship and enrolled pediatric radiology fellows. 3 fellows were locally enrolled, and we even established a research fellowship in global outreach and education, and one of the faculty had that possibility and has joined us at CHOP. And CHOP's role is now going from primary responsibility more to an advisory position. So this is one of the fellows who graduated, Dr. Daniel Zaudinach. I was so impressed when after graduation he presented me with this book proposal that was going to be published, entitled Pediatric Radiology in Ethiopia, a pictorial compendium of clinical cases. The activities with the Radiological Society of Ethiopia was regarding continuing medical education, CME, and we had a full course annually where we invited all the radiologists. As you know, not all radiologists had the opportunity to have intensive pediatric radiology training. So this was an annual event where many radiologists from around the country came, and we had usually, when it was in person, some 200 radiologists and residents joining this meeting to attend didactic lectures, case-based review of basic and advanced topics lectured by international faculty, predominantly from CHOP. The CME course included this unknown pediatric cases. This was the first of its kind in terms of offering at meetings in Ethiopia, and was very much liked because people were eager to solve these cases and win also the prizes. And you could see many people gathered around the cases and studying them and discussing and then putting in their answers. And the happy recipient of some of these prizes were residents at the time too. Furthermore, we did really a proper evaluation of the faculty by the attendees, which was a great feedback for making changes for future meetings. CME credits were introduced, and these were necessary for renewing medical licenses, so we provided CME points. This is just one of the meetings from 2013. This was the third annual Pediatric Radiology CME. This was the program book. This was the participants at the end. This was held at a hotel venue in Addis Ababa. The last in-person one was just before the COVID in January 2020. This was also held in person in Addis Ababa, organized by the director of the CHOP Global Outreach and Education, Dr. Hansel Otero. And we had also almost 200 people participating in that meeting. Because of the COVID in 2021, we had to do it virtually. And that was also really successful. We had over 100 participants, but still did a pediatric radiology CME and also pediatric radiology unknown cases. And the winners even got iPads, and these two are the winners pictured here. Lastly, I want to share with you that the Department of Radiology at Black Lion, the pediatric radiology team, in collaboration with us, they have developed a whole website describing all the programs of pediatric radiology outreach in Ethiopia, and the things they do. All the CMEs that were in the past are now incorporated in the website, and also about the fellowship and the residency programs are also presented there. And I want to see our global outreach coordinator, also Tigist Hailu, for coordinating and supporting them to have this great website, which I highly encourage you to go in and look. So in closing, I just want to say Penn and CHOP really making a difference, because there are volunteer faculty who want to share their knowledge and make an impact on pediatrics, in our case on pediatric imaging worldwide, because they share their expertise, advanced pediatric radiology in places with the highest needs. In addition, really, it was really exemplary that in February 27, we had 2 CHOP International Pediatric Radiology Fellows who graduated after 2 years. They were the first pediatric radiologists for a population of 100 million, with 60% almost in the pediatric age group. And I want just to say that now with the pediatric radiology section established, with someone leading that, they have their own fellowship programs, again, recruited 2 fellows now who are graduating this year, and 1 other fellow who will be graduating next year and will be the staff at another hospital. That's the whole intention, and this is expanding. And in closing, I just want to say thank you. These activities are not a one-man's activity, and certainly I haven't done it alone. There are many, many, many people that are involved, and I just want to say thank you to so many, especially the CHOP Radiology Global Outreach and Education team, particularly Doctors Hansel Otero, Susan Sotardi, and also Tigist Hailu. And then do remember, there are many faculty members from CHOP and other institutes that have been going and teaching in our program, and all are listed here, and there are many more. I just want to say, even if I don't call out by name each one, to each and every one, thank you very much. This has been a great experience, and especially for our partners, a great advancement in pediatrics. In addition, I want to thank from CHOP's Global Health Center, Andrew Steenhoff, who has been an ardent supporter of our program and the global activities, as well as the Penn Center for Global Health, Megan Doherty, with whom I've been working since I joined CHOP many years ago. I also want to thank our external partners, particularly the Department of Radiology at Addis Ababa University and the many faculty members, but particularly the two pediatric radiologists, Yukabil Gorfu and Daniel Zodiner, as well as the Radiological Society of Ethiopia, Dr. Amal Saleh, with whom we started the CME program in Ethiopia, and Dr. Asafa Getachew, the current president, with whom we are still continuing to do the work. And finally, I'm also grateful for the support of RAD8 International, where we have also a RAD8 chapter at CHOP. And I want to thank Daniel Morura, the CEO and founder, and also Laura Poznik, who was leading the CHOP RAD8 chapter, and Susan Sotardi as one of the directors in this activity. And finally, I want to say thank you to my wife, who has been with me with all the years I am doing all this international work for the past 30 years, my wife Hannah, and all my family, for their love and support, without which this would have not been possible. And so in closing, I want to say again, Leslie and Robert, for your kind and generous endowment for this award, which is really recognizing and uplifting global health in many parts and making it recognized for others, and bringing out the importance when we have so many things at the same time that draw our attention. So your input in this and your support of this undertaking is much appreciated. And I again want to say I humbly accept this award in the name of our CHOP Global Radiology, as well as our partners around the world. Thank you so much again. And thank you for all those who took time to take part in this award ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Darge. I'm just one of the thousands of people who are honored to say I'm a mentee of Dr. Darge's, and I look forward to more years of his wisdom being shared with me and many of our trainees, both here at Penn and internationally. So thank you, Dr. Darge, for everything that you've done. And I'm going to first let Leslie Lewinter-Suskind say some words.
Okay, I want to tell you one of the advantages of having a hyphenated name is that when we do publish, he may have higher status, but I spread across the... And I want to say something else before I say my main thing, and that is not to brag, but I believe I was in Ethiopia before you in 1967. Were you there? Yeah. I was looking for you.
Too small, you didn't see me.
I was looking and I said, I need a radiologist. And you said, what do you say? Okay, I want to say this. And I'm going to say, this is about the use, and the reason I'm reading this is I don't say it wrong. This is about the use of the word incredible. We live on an incredible planet, and we are one incredible species. But we divide ourselves up in incredible and very often destructive ways, so that some of us live wonderfully fruitful lives, and many, many, many others live very painfully, and in a sense, really don't live at all. I salute you, Dr. Kassa Darge, above all for the intent I discerned when I spoke to you to help change that, helping not only all individuals to thrive, but as a result, really, and I mean this sincerely, helping our planet survive. Dr. Darge, bravo, bravo, bravo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Much appreciated.
Thank you. No, you're the one who's to be appreciated. Writing a few words is easy. What you do is incredibly hard and wonderful. Thank you. Bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. So we would like to now.
Your today was outstanding.
Yes.
Sorry. We would like to open it up.
Okay, I'll unmute. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are unmuted.
Oh, okay. Kassa, I just want to tell you, the work that you have done in Ethiopia is incredible. And I am so proud of that work and the impact that you've had. And I want to say one thing about global health at Penn. It's amazing what has happened in the last 50 years. When I was a medical student, no one else went over to Africa. There was no global health program. But Penn has really expanded this, and Megan and Glenn and the whole team and Dr. Darge, congratulations on what you have accomplished. It does my heart good to see this contribution that you've made. Thank you so much.
And without tears, I second that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob and Leslie, for all of your support that you give all of our trainees and faculty, and the inspiration that you provide all of us. So we would like to take these few minutes to see if anyone in the audience has any questions, and please feel free to either unmute your mic or raise your hand as one of your reaction options. And if not, I have a question to start with. So I don't see any hands. Okay, so Dr. Darge, I'm gonna start by saying you make something, an extremely complex endeavor, sound easy. So those of us who work at very large, complex organizations such as the medical school and the health system at Penn and CHOP, and even the interactions between the two are, you know, complex and challenging enough. How are you able to do that with our side as well as internationally with the complexities that exist there? And, or just, I don't want you to have to explain how, because I know it would take too long, but do you have just a couple of words of advice for those of us that are working in global health, and what has really been ways that you found to make your work successful?
So I think, I mean, I could talk longer on this, but just 2 points. So from our partners' side, I think it's very crucial to understand the people and the culture, and try to fit yourself in that culture and also see it from their perspective. Just a funny example that I very much learned very, very early in my life in the 1980s. I started working in Liberia. So going from Germany to Liberia, one of the first experiences was that in Liberia, everything was slow. It's like a slow motion movie. And I could not fathom how that is possible. And I couldn't make the people go faster. So I said, I have to slow down and do it as they do. But I realized when I landed, I remember landing in Hamburg, Germany, at the airport, going from the plane from Liberia, I walked faster in Hamburg than I used to walk in Liberia. But it's just how you adapt to that. So adapting to the people and understanding their culture, very important. And from this side, you have to understand global health, though, like we are gathered here, some people who are strong advocates, there is always around you a mix of people who don't see it like you see. So you have to respect and understand that, and try to take it small steps at a time, and not try to make it a huge thing and succumb to a failure. So I think these 2 points are important ones to make a positive impact.
Thank you so much. Would anyone, Leslie or Bob, did you want to say something?
Megan?
Yes.
Megan, yeah, it's Glenn. I have a question.
Glenn.
Yeah, so this ties off of the point that Kassa made, but some advice maybe for the folks starting out their careers in global health. So you grew up in Ethiopia and you knew the culture. So how important from your view is it, because a lot of to be in residence in that country, at least at some point for a longitudinal period to kick off projects, because many times we have colleagues, particularly now, individuals start in medical school, they continue through residency, and then maybe on fellowship as they become faculty, they sort of are able to dip their toes, but don't have the time to conduct longitudinal work in these international locations. So how important do you think that is? I mean, is it essential for people to be able to spend, say, a year or something like that, really immersed, versus the ability to create meaningful programs by, doing it a month, maybe 2 months, a year over many years?
Glenn, this is a very important question, and I'm very happy to share with you that this is a question I discuss de facto literally on an annual basis with students in doing Masters of Public Health or our global outreach undertakings, medical students at Penn for whom I give lectures. And this is one of the questions. So what I say is for younger folks to start is, one of the thing is it's great to start with really a mentor and a program if possible. I mean, when you do it alone, it's possible, but may not be as fruitful. So if it's a short time, you just want to have experience, you want to be there for a limited activity, it's best to look out for existing programs where you can be part for that program and do something specific, rather go on your own and just start it. This is just to avoid disappointment and also avoid the failure of trying to establish a working environment. So encouraging, it is possible to do it. It is best, especially in the setting of Penn CHOP, to seek out mentors, to seek out programs and go over. And I can tell you, I've had a number of residents or medical students come over and we discuss it, and we've arranged programs for them, for instance, to go to Ethiopia to rotate through the departments, and those have been successful. So those possibilities do exist, and that's what I highly recommend.
Thank you, Dr. Darge. Any other questions? As Andy mentioned, you can feel free to write a question in the chat box and I'm happy to read it. Or you're welcome to unmute your mic as well. If I don't hear anything, I do have another. Okay, so Dr. Noor, a resident in radiology, is asking for Dr. Darge to talk about what's next with his plans for his radiology program.
Thank you, Abbas, for this question. I mean, as the core values, as mentioned, is to really establish to ensure sustainability and to ensure self-sufficiency. And that's why I think longitudinal programs focused on one area are important, because you can make impactful changes and empower the people there to take over. And I think the next steps are to solidify this process and to make a program sustain itself while we are withdrawing more and more. But that takes time, it really takes time. And so that's something you may want to focus to ensure what you have spent and the people you've worked with, that this will go on without you, so that there may come a time when they're doing the work, they didn't even remember that the time where this was without, and even how it started. That's okay, but at least that means now it's well established and it's running without you being present there. So I think it's not going around and trying to do many things, but that's the main thing. The other thing is there are other places who want to start such program under the leadership of other people, and supporting other people to help them how to start such programs would be one other step that I would be furthermore interested to pursue.
Thank you very much for that response. And we are actually pretty close to the end. We have a couple more minutes. Dr. Darge, I just have one last question that I know is a very popular question amongst our trainees of all levels. Do you have any words of wisdom for achieving, this is going to, try to make it short, but achieving work-life balance?
Maybe I might be the wrong one to ask. In our time, these questions didn't exist. Now we are asking, yeah. And especially when doing global outreach, this is something that comes up. And again, because of my now ongoing relation with Penn students and master students, this questions comes up. So a few of the advices is, try to do something, first of all, in your area of interest. So don't jump to do something very different that is not along your everyday working area. So if you do it in your area, that may enhance and may require less amount of work in enhancing it. Secondly, do choose the right setup and mentors to support you. So if you go into a program that's already existent, you can fly in, work, prepare a little work, let's say a week or a month in this program, and you're not confronted with establishing contact, with starting a program, and the time is spent without you, let's say, having done medical work. That is really frustrating, and it really is not good for life, your balance in life. So if you focus in your area of interest, if you focus on going into structured, already established, that gives you a better work-life balance while still encouraging your interest. And try to align your international work with your current activities hand in hand, so that you can use stuff from what you're doing currently here to work there, and vice versa. That way it's not only an additional, completely separate burden you have to switch off and do, but complementary that can go on. And that allows also some degree of sustainability for your work-life balancing act if you try to do that.
Thank you very much. And you're so excellent at that you ended right at 1 o'clock. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're so honored to have Bob and Leslie here and have them as our terrific supporters and advocates, and then also to be able to honor Dr. Darge with the inaugural Lewinter-Suskind Global Health.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it for the award, for Leslie and Bob for your generosity, Megan and Glenn for leading this session. I really appreciate it. And thank you also for the Penn Global Health Center. Thank you so much. And everyone who've come to join us, thank you for your generosity and time to come and share this occasion with me and the Global Health team. Thank you, and have a nice day. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you. Okay.
We were muted because, I was speaking was not good. Bravo. Good.